In this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video, we are going over the very best legendary tier good side equipment. And this is so important because there's so many combinations of equipment with modifier. What do you keep? And the equipment is so rare that you don't want to get rid of the wrong ones, but you want to use as many as possible to strengthen and refine. So in this video, I am going to help put you at ease and tell you what you should keep and what is okay to get rid of. And that's not to say that there aren't some things that I might miss in this list, but if you see one of these items, you should probably hold on to it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and I am hyped to bring you this list, which, by the way, is really the brainchild of Drucifer and also the members of the Smash Squad who helped put this together. The Smash Squad is the collection of alliances that I help organize, and I say help organize because, like, I don't run it, man. I just, like, help out and provide a little bit of steering. And we all are doing some fun stuff and having a great time together as I knock my microphone with my hand almost into the camera, but not quite. So let's get started, shall we? The very best legendaries. This is important, as I mentioned at the start of the video, because this stuff is really hard to come by, and it feels bad, man, to lose an item by virtue of strengthening with it when you should have kept it. So if you see one of these things, hold on to it. And the number one first thing in the list is hold on to every gosh darn Night Star you get. Because if you get a Night Star with Opportune Strike, you will be able to, as I like to say when I talk about Theoden, just roll your face on the keyboard and collect victories. It's so good. The ability to cause maximum damage. You run axe throwers, and if you, I mean, you probably can't actually get to 100% chance of causing maximum damage. That would be disgusting. It would be so gross. I can't even handle it. But Opportune Strike with your axe throwers is just god tier, man. It's just really good. If you get this Night Star, if you get any Night Stars, you just hold it. And the way that I'm holding, by the way, is I'm using it on Arwen, where I'm using all men anyways. Like, and I care a lot about my ranged units, which is the modifier I have. So that's possibly the number one item in this list, and we kick this thing off with a bang. The next thing up in the list, and you may not have known this, actually, well, I don't need to bust out the tricks yet. I'll bust out the tricks in a minute. I think I have one. Here's a High Elf's helmet. The High Elf's helmet, there are a couple modifiers that you want to be on the lookout for. One is Resolve of Elves, and I think the other is Fortitude of Elves. Let's pull this up here. Is it Fortitude of Elves? Yes, and Resolve of Elves. There they are. Allied Elven units, damage received, and Resolve of Elves makes it so that you have a chance to gain stun immunity. These are really, really fantastic. I mean, I don't need to tell you why stun immunity is good, right? Witch King, Gandalf. There's a lot of reasons why stun immunity is absolutely fantastic. However, Fortitude of Elves, Elven damage reduction, is really great on Gil-galad and Elrond. If those are commanders that you think you're going to run, you get this helmet, you hold on to the thing, especially if it's got one of those modifiers. But even without one of those modifiers, it's eventually what you want to build to, so you would hold on to everyone so that you can actually refine when you get one that you really, really want. Up next is something that you can even pick as a season reward from Season 1, and it is the Fine Smoking Pipe. And the modifier that you're looking for is not Improved Husbandry, it's in fact Heroism. Commander damage plus 3%, allied units damage minus 1%. This might sound weird to you, but if you're running a commander damage build, then you're going to want to use that. That's very powerful. And this is a great item, if you can believe it, on Gimli and Legolas, because boosting their damage is absolutely insane. That's where your damage is coming from anyways. So even though you look at this item and you're like, bro, that's a lot of focus. If you get one that's got this modifier for heroism, you probably just hold on to it and you slap that onto Gimli. It is really, really great. And that percent damage, by the way, is a lot better than adding might onto your commander, which is why Fine Smoking Pipe is a really great keep. I'm holding on to a bunch of them. I don't know how much longer I will hold on to a bunch of them because I've got so many items that I actually like, including the next one that's on the list. And that next item that's on the list is the Fiddle of the Eldest. Ooh, baby, the mounted unit, cream of the crop right here. Fiddle of the Eldest has a ton of speed, army defense, army speed. For those of you that didn't know, commander speed boosts the speed of your commander. which does benefit your army, especially on cavalry commanders where so many abilities are modified by speed. However, army speed is going to determine the order in which your units go. Whichever ones have the highest speed go first. And I really like Might of Soldiers, but there are other flavors of the Fiddle of the Eldest, which you can see is the one legendary I'm really and truly building, which is Heroism if you run a commander build with Eomer, which I do. And I might have actually refined one of these before I actually knew that I was going to go with a commander build. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have to figure that out. But the other version that I think is far more important is actually Blitz. For the first 4 rounds, commander and units have a chance to gain initiative. Oh my god. Initiative, baby, is really good. Blitz is really strong. I actually really like that. I think I would switch to Blitz over what I'm currently using, which just gives me raw damage. And if you had infinite Fiddles of the Eldest, you would probably actually use this Fiddle of the Eldest. Allied melee units get the damage boost on Eowyn. And then I think you would use the Fiddle of the Eldest with the commander damage boost over here, Heroism, on Eomer, right? So Fiddle of the Eldest is just absolutely fantastic. Now, the next item that I want to talk about, and now I think I actually do need to use the trick, the wizardry that I was mentioning earlier but didn't actually show, is if you want to see all of the items that are actually available in the game, you look at the drop rates for a chest, you go to the equipment section, and here are all the items. Now, you can't actually see all the modifiers, though, which is a little bit of a bummer. So I'm going to scroll down to the item that I want to tell you about, which is the Silver Harp of Rivendell, and that has Might of Elves. Might of Elves is just a % damage increase to elves. So if you're running Gil-galad or Elrond, or you think that's something you might do, I know those are T3 commanders, I understand, then that's something you're definitely just going to want to hold on to. Back into the collection of things that I actually already have access to, we've got Erebor's Pride. So this is going to be really strong with the Arid Luin formation. If you get this, you want to hold on to it. It's Dwarven units damage dealt, affected by might. I mean, this seems like it's really obvious why that would be very strong. An item that is just doing a ton of dwarf stat boosting, then giving you more Dwarven unit damage. It's all in on the plan. And there's just a ton of commanders where this is good. I would use this on Thorin. Well, I would use this on Thorin certainly with a unit damage build, but you get the idea here. Erebor's Pride is a strong item with that flavor. Arid Luin formation. I just don't think you ever want to get rid of that. You just hold on to it because it could be absolutely gangbuster. And the next item I want to talk about is the Hunter's Guide, and the Hunter's Guide specifically with Aegis. Oh my god. 16.7% chance to gain stun and madness immunity each round for the first 4 rounds. Don't let me, please, don't let me ever get rid of a Hunter's Guide, because when I get so lucky as to get that flavor, I have so many of these Hunter's Guides sitting around, I am going to have so much stun and madness immunity, my heart will overflow with joy because of how much stun and madness immunity I have. Hunter's Guide Aegis, just thinking about that brings me joy. In a weird, nerdy video game sort of a way, okay? It's just, the collector in me likes this outcome of getting all that good stuff. The next thing I actually, again, don't have in my collection, so we're going to make our way back to the Precious Antiquities, look at the drop rate, and pull it up. And this is a helmet, the Swan Helmet. The Swan Helmet gives Might Focus and Defensive Men, and that is a lot of focus. So it's focus over might. However, the thing that you're looking for is Courage. Courage increases the commander damage by an upwards of 30% for the first 3 rounds, and it's got a ton of focus. So Galadriel, Arwen, Gandalf the White, King of the Dead, these are all commanders that really benefit a lot from this, even though you might not even be using men in the army at all. The Swan Helmet with the Courage modifier, you can just dish out a ton of damage, and that seems like one you'd probably hold on to. I'm not holding on to it because I don't particularly, I'm not that invested in those particular commanders. I'm personally invested in some other commanders, but that is quite strong. Now, while I'm here, I may as well show you the best cavalry weapon in the game, if I can find it. I believe it's the Reach of the Rittermark. There it is. Oof. God, that's good. Might, speed, and mounted unit. army speed. Might, speed, and speed for your mounted units in your army is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is the weapon you're looking for Theoden, Eomer, and Eowyn. It's just absolutely fantastic. And the modifier that you're looking for is Might of Cavalry. That's mounted unit damage. Like, obviously, that just is a plan that's easy to understand. And on the topic of plans that are fairly easy to understand, as I back my way out, keep the little flawless descriptors up there. By the way, if you ever get stuck with one of those menus, just tap a tile and you free yourself of that. I've got a Hammer of Moria, and there is a flavor of the Hammer of Moria that is really good. That flavor is Lethal Weapon. Allied commander has a chance of dealing extra physical damage. On a commander that, I mean, like, probably Dwalin and Gimli, where you're going to run just like really, really high damage, and you're probably going to have some dwarves anyways in there. So you benefit from the fact that it's got the defense for dwarves. And by the way, I mean, the flavor I've got, Chance to Inflict Madness, is pretty cool. However, just that extra damage is really very, very powerful. This is similar to Dwalin's rank 10 weapon, but, you know, this is restricted to physical damage over here. Now, I know I've covered a lot of items here, but there's a few more that we've got to talk about, and they're just so important. They're so important. Let's go back to the Precious Antiquities and get a quick look over here. The Elven Cloak, that's the one. Focus, speed, and army points. It's solid. However, the modifier that you're going to look for is called Unity. And that is just going to give you extra focus. So it's really good on Gandalf. It's really good on Galadriel. On any commander that cares a lot about stacking ridiculous amounts of focus, the Elven Cloak with Unity is really good. And while we're here, let's go over a couple more things. The Noldor Sword is also fantastic with either Amplification or Mind Split. And I actually, you know what? I said while I'm here, but I actually have a Noldor Sword. The one that I mentioned, just Mind Split, is really good on Gandalf. And I actually have it on Arwen because I think that this low level of refinement and strengthening makes it so that it's not as good as the maxed out Carver that I have. However, Noldor Sword with Mind Split has a chance of doing extra focus damage. Absolutely fantastic, especially on a commander like Gandalf, who, whenever he is attacking, has a chance to heal. That's like an extra attack. It's an extra way to heal, which is really fantastic. This does give army attack for men and elves, so it's a little constrained in that regard. However, the other flavor of this, it is really good. We make my way over here to the Noldor Sword. It is Amplification. Focus damage dealt. I mean, for the first 5 rounds, you do more damage. Like, for commanders that do ridiculous amounts of focus damage, seems like a pretty solid choice. Now, I did get one item this season. I think it's only available in Season 2, and that is the Gray Wizard Hat. And this is it. Like, this is the one you keep. It's got Tranquility. So I'm basically stuck with this hat until either I use it or decide I'm never going to use it. But the ability to, every 3 rounds, remove a random debuff and also recover hit points is a big deal. And remember that abilities like this that do stuff every certain number of rounds will actually activate on the very first turn that the commander takes. So if there's any debuffs that were stacked right away, like Gandalf Smith Randir, you clear that right away, which is pretty amazing. So I really like Tranquility. The debuff cleanse is very strong, especially on a commander that doesn't have a debuff cleanse. And Gandalf is one of the best commanders in the game. For tile taking at the start, it's just really, really great. That's a great place to start. There's only a few items left in this list here. One of them is a Bow of the High Elves. And the modifier that you're looking for is Might of Elves. Elven allied units deal lots of damage. This is a Gil-galad item, really. So if you think you're never going to go for Gil-galad, then you just say, you know what? I don't need it. See you later. Use it as fodder. I might do that. I don't have Gil-galad. Of course, I'll get them eventually and then be sad that I got rid of these, but I don't actually have that desired modifier. I've got a couple other ones, so we'll see. To be determined if I keep these or shred them. A couple more items left on the list. The Warborn Battle Plate. God tier for cavalry. I want to invest in this. I want to. You have my attention, baby. Might, army, melee defense, and army speed for your melee units as well. But with the right modifier, ooh, baby, If you get strength from dexterity, you do not get rid of this item. You do not. I don't care if you're not using cavalry commanders. You do not get rid of it. A might boost modified by your speed on commanders where you're stacking absolutely stupid amounts of speed. Yep. This is what you wanted. Granted, it doesn't have commander speed itself, which is actually kind of a bummer. The amount of might you'll get is just really absolutely spectacular. So that's the combination you use. The Warborn Battle Plate with that one modifier. You hold on to it. Strength from dexterity. Very powerful. I actually have a strength from dexterity modifier over here on my Ranger's Shroud, which like is cool, but... And it does have commander speed, right? Like, this is a tempting one over here, but I don't use ranged units in any of my mounted armies, really at all. Like, I don't do it. Theoretically, I could with Aomer. I could use some Bowknights, but I don't want to use Bowknights because they do damage to large units, and I'm usually not fighting large units. So, I don't know. I'm cautiously holding on to the Ranger's Shroud. This will be the only honorable mention, I guess, on the list. Because, like, I mean, you could see how this would be very, very powerful. And in some ways, like, it's got speed, whereas the Warborn Battle Plate doesn't. So, I don't know. What I have been advised is that this is the God tier mounted unit piece. However, I can see the value instead of using a Ranger's Shroud. I'm just gonna hold on to this as well, just in case. And the final item I think I have for you today, the final item on the list, is the Cask of the Submerged Isle. This is available also in Season 2. I'm not using it, as you can see. I have Intimidation and Formation Break, but the flavor that you would really want is going to be Aegis. Chance for stun immunity, chance for madness immunity. And because it has those options, you just hold on to everyone you get until you get Aegis, and then you go all in on Aegis. In my opinion, anyways. Those are the ones that we came up with in the Smash Squad. Big thank you again to Drucifer. This was really his brainchild. And I might have missed one or two items from the list, but I think I hit on all of them. The most important items. If you're on the side of good, you get one of these legendaries. You do not get rid of it. You don't. You just keep it. Because holding on to that one item, I know you want to be using it somewhere, but you know what? Like, try to find a use for it in the meantime, like I did over here with this Night Star. Yeah, I get that a epic I was working on instead would be better. I get it. But you can only work on so many epics at a time, and even though I'm spending, it's not like I've got every epic I want all maxed out. Far from that, in fact. You know, I've only got a couple that are in that position. And the fact that I even have any, I find fairly remarkable. So it's okay on some of your backup-ish commanders to throw some of those legendaries on that you're just holding on to them till you eventually find the right home, so that you get some value instead of no value by holding on to it. My 2 cents there. If you enjoyed this video, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. It is worth mentioning, perhaps I should have done this at the start, that I play on a roleplay server, so there's none of this mixed weirdness, where you'd have access to probably a lot more equipment, but then you've got to deal with the mental, emotional conflict of, like, evil units with good commanders. Well, that's a can of worms I'm not opening in this video. I'll just say I play roleplay. And until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. And if you want to see the epic list, card will be up in the top, where I reviewed all the epics that I think if you get one of them, you have to keep it.